I want to give a big welcome to David Orritt. And David has been a member of the SAMS Ireland General Council for a number of years and has recently come off General Council. But David has a wonderful story, particularly around Mission Paraguay. And we think it would be just lovely for people to have the opportunity to hear a little bit of this story today. So, David, how did you get involved with Mission Paraguay and then from that, SAMS Ireland?
Well, it all started really in 2002. The church that I attend in Burstall, Lancashire, decided to fund the building of a new mission church in Chile, in a place called Glorious Navales, which is a poor area on the outskirts of Viña del Mar. And in 2003, it was decided that a group of people from our church would go out to Chile and assist in completing the building, decorating it, and be there for the opening and the dedication. My wife was very keen to go out as part of the group. I wasn't, but I decided I'll go along and see what it's all about, see what it's like. I'd never been to South America before. I'd never been out to Europe. We went for 2.5 weeks, 27 of us, and it was a turning point in my life. I went over there, and within a couple of days, the experience of meeting, working with Christians from a totally different environment, whose language I couldn't speak. It had a major spiritual experience, and God spoke very clearly to me through that. As part of the visit to Chile, we went out and we went to Paraguay for 2 nights. And in Paraguay, we met Bishop John Ellison, Bishop of Paraguay, and a number of the missionaries there, heard about the work going on in Paraguay. And then we came back to Chile and we came home. And coming home, it gave me a lot to think about. It was a significant experience in my life. About 6 months later, towards the end of 2003, we had an invitation. Would anyone from our church like to join a team going out to Paraguay to build a church? And that team comprised of people from Northern Ireland as well as people from England. So about 5 of us joined that team and went out to Paraguay for 3 weeks, to the Chaco, a totally different area. I'd never experienced anything like it, where the indigenous Indian people live, where they've no running water, no electricity. People clearly were scratching a living in a very difficult situation, and we built a church at a place called Yatnata, middle of nowhere really. Chaco is served by one, I'll call it a major road, but in terms of major roads in England and Ireland, it wasn't very high quality. But we went over there, working in very difficult conditions, hot, etc. And I came back. Again, God had touched me very deeply, meeting people who were even poorer than the ones I'd met in Chile. And at the end of 2004, I decided I wanted to go back to South America again, to Paraguay. And at the time, I was working in a college in Merseyside, a job I loved, but I decided that I'd finish and I'd take early retirement, because to go out to Paraguay each year for a longer period than a fortnight would have been difficult. It would have been impossible with the job I had. So I decided to finish work, and I was fortunate to be able to access a pension early, and decided to go out to Paraguay in 2005. So I went out in 2005 for 8 weeks. And since then, almost every year, I've been out for anything from 7 to 10 weeks. I think I've had 17 visits. But and they've all been as members of teams going out. In 2006, I went out as well. And at the end of 2006, Bishop John Ellison, who was the Bishop of Paraguay at the time, asked me, would I like to coordinate all the teams coming out? And they were teams from England and from Ireland. So, some intact from England, some intact from Ireland, plus some mixtures. So I did that, and since then there's been 26 teams that I've coordinated going out, comprising of well over 200 people. And we set up at the end of 2006 Mission Paraguay, which was really coordination of all the teams going out to carry out work that was necessary for the diocese, working together with people in South America. Because the work we've been doing, it's not us going out as a team to do work, it's us going out as a team to work with people in the local church to take forward their ministry in the way that they want it to be done. But the problem that a lot of them had at the time was that they hadn't enough buildings, they hadn't enough resources, or what they had needed developing more. We had some of the expertise that we could give to assist them in this. So in total, since we set up Mission Paraguay, we've built 10 churches. There's an 11th one going up at the present time. It may be finished, actually. That's in the Chaco also. And we've worked in 3 main areas in Paraguay: in Asuncion, the capital, in Concepcion, where Claire Holmes was based, Claire Holmes from SAMS, and also in the Chaco. Done a lot of work in the Chaco.
And one of those teams that you got to know was from Anachmore.
It was indeed, yes.
They were repeat travellers, weren't they, over a number of years, and have been?
Been a wonderful team from Anachmore, yes, of builders, because initially Mission Paraguay really was set up to provide the buildings that they needed. So we can only put buildings up if we've got good builders, and the team from Anachmore, who've been over, I think, about 4 times, never stop working when they go over. Do a tremendous lot in 2 or 3 weeks. It's unbelievable the amount that they do. They're completely dedicated. They really enjoy it. And I always say to them at the start, it's going to be pretty hard over there. Some of the places we'll be staying, with no running water, very little in the way of comforts, but it never bothers them. Yes, they're a good team to work with. We couldn't do it without people in Paraguay as well as people in England and Ireland helping with the arrangements. And Chris Hawksby, we'd have been lost without Chris, because he has got the first-hand knowledge of the Chaco. He's lived in the Chaco. He speaks the local language, the Guarani as well as the Spanish, and he's well respected with all the communities up there. So Chris does the organisation for us on site, because of course a lot of work goes on at times when myself and other teams are not over there. So we couldn't operate without Chris, and when we were in Conception without Claire Holmes, and we've been tremendously supported by all members of the Anglican Church. That's Bishop John Ellison at the start, then Bishop Peter Bartlett, and all the different clergy, because when we go over there, we do rely a great deal on their hospitality to be able to have places to live. We stay in church premises if we're in Asuncion or in Conception.
Who are some of the people who've encouraged you along the way?
Well, I mentioned John Ellison, of course, the late John Ellison, who was bishop at the time when we first started, and he was a main encourager, because it was his vision really to put Mission Paraguay together. He wanted to coordinate all the teams, but people in my own church, and we've had such a great encouragement from the generosity of people. We would not have been able to do what we've done without people's generosity, and generosity of churches in total. Well over £250,000 has been given to the work we've done. But the biggest encourager and the biggest person directing us has been the Lord, been God, because without him, without his encouragement, without him opening doors, without him getting us out of scrapes, we'd have been lost.
And so thank you to you and for what you've done for Mission Paraguay, for your input into this in the SAMS General Council over the years as well. And we do hope that as you have shared your testimony today, that others who are listening will also be encouraged to take that step. And it doesn't really matter what age you are, sure it doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we can all listen and hear and respond to God's call on our lives. And what an adventure! What an adventure! So
it's always an adventure with God.
Certainly is. Well, thank you for your time today, David, and we give thanks for what God's done in your life as we continue in partnership with the church in South America. So thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, everyone.